This episode is brought to you by Meow Wolf. Because Danceportation returns to Meow Wolf Denver on Saturday, June 1st, with a takeover by Jay Wara. And they've got even more killer DJs to announce soon. Don't miss this rare cosmic dance party pulsing through all 4 floors of Convergence Station. You know, when I was tripping out about reading this, Paul, it was like, there are 4 floors. It feels like there's like 10. Tickets are on sale now. Visit meowwolf.org to get yours. That's meowwolf.org. Floors are not a concept that I have once I step inside Meow Wolf.
Hey, before we get to today's show, I've got a favor to ask. CityCast is doing our annual listener survey all across the 11 cities in the network, and it would really help us out if you took it. And also, just for me personally, I would like very much to win. Last year, CityCast Salt Lake got the most responses, and I don't know about you, but I just don't think that's right. I think Denver should be number 1. So if you took the survey last year, we would be grateful if you took it again, since we can't use last year's data anymore. Please go to citycast.fm/survey to take the survey today. It's only 7 minutes long. I promise. We timed it. That's citycast.fm/survey. Help us beat Salt Lake City. And when you take the survey, you'll also be eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card and some CityCast Denver swag. That's citycast.fm/survey. Today on CityCast Denver, it's Memorial Day weekend. Time for adults to tell kids how to spend their time. Mayor Johnston has a new program to pay teens to get a summer job, and the state Republican Party wants kids out of public schools. You'll never guess why. Plus, our wins and fails of the week. And just a heads up, we're taking Monday off for the holiday, so we'll be back in your feed Tuesday morning. Today is Friday, May 24th. I'm Paul Caroli, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome back to CityCast Denver, the show about the state whose governor loves vetoing bills more than my wife loves vetoing my suggestions for our grocery list.
Dang, wow.
I'm always on Team Megan, so whatever
She's probably right.
Whatever Megan says goes.
No, she is probably
I
right.
like dragon fruit, personally, Paul.
We'll talk.
As long as you don't bring a durian in this house, it's fine.
Dragon fruit is what durian?
Ugh,
is that a problem
that's
for you?
the dead body one.
That's the one
is
that
that
stinks?
the one that tastes like custard, though?
I've never tasted it because it
It
smells like
tastes delicious.
a dead body.
Well, you know.
I had a roommate that ate it regularly, I think just to gross me out. But
That's a fun roommate habit. Just sort of like a Cold War of...
it was accidental
Smells.
Cold War. I don't think they were aware they were always doing
you
that kind
think?
of thing. Yeah,
Oh,
I love
damn.
them very much.
And that's why they were
Oh,
winning.
Well, shout out to them
Yes.
then. Hope you're enjoying durians still today.
I love you, Piper.
All right, it's Friday. We're here at the 5280 Magazine studios. Our host, Bree Davies, is here. Hey, Bree.
Good morning.
And Bree, I was listening to our show earlier this week with Megan Ulani Boynton about parking lots. I
love
wanted to ask
Megan.
you about this. Me too. Megan's the best, but I wanted to ask you, how was your parking lot this morning?
The parking lot was fine. I go to the one with, what is it again? Lotimus Prime and Dave or whatever the
robot protectors?
whatever the robots are. The parking lot was fine. Getting here was an absolute and utter
What happened?
nightmare. Every street I went on had construction and was blocked. It was
Yeah.
wild. But I was like, is there a Rockies game today? It was that
there?
bad. I don't know. It was that bad. Maybe there is. I don't know. But parking, fantastic. Loved every minute. Once I got into the lot,
Joyful parking.
joyful
Good
parking
for you.
experience.
Happy to hear. I was down at the garden terrace of this building, which I just discovered after you all let me know it was a nice spot.
It's
this,
Joshua.
like,
It's
third
literally
floor.
a garden on the 3rd floor.
Oh,
Like there's
cute.
beautiful. We saw the gardeners out there too. Like they plant all these unique flowers and vegetables in different spots.
It's really nice.
It's gorgeous.
But the thing I was going to say was they have this overlook over the 16th Street Mall. So you can see all the
Oh.
construction from above.
I love looking at construction from all angles.
Who doesn't?
But the 16th Street Mall does look. The improvements do look cool.
That's what I was going to say. They look so cool. They look great.
Me and the CityCast gals were at the Friendly Neighborhood Cheesecake Factory last week, and
Yeah.
we were just looking out on the 16th Street Mall. The improvements are nice.
Nice.
Menu not big enough, I gotta say.
I know.
But,
If your menu is not a Bible, I don't know what you're doing.
Well, George R. R. Martin's been working on the sequel for a while.
To the Cheesecake
To the
Factory.
Cheesecake Factory menu. He's going to finish it someday. He keeps doing research.
But you actually have to introduce
Yeah,
our
we're
other
going to
person.
get to the. I'll introduce. Okay, here we go. Okay, he's a stand-up comic. He's one of our favorite returning guests. He's our man inside Casa Bonita. Joshua Emerson is back. Welcome back.
Yate bene, everybody. How you doing? Hello. I'm talking to you. Hey, are you having a good day? Good. I'm glad. Bye.
Joshua, you're wearing a Tim Tebow jersey.
That's right. I kneel all the time. Okay. That's right.
You're just a big fan of kneeling.
In fact, can we just start this podcast off with a little bit of prayer? Okay.
if you want, I guess. Actually, no. That's not what this is about.
Well, can we at least hold hands?
This is a secular podcast.
Do you get comments on this when you wear this around? Because I've seen you wear this a few times.
Only when I wear the OnlyFans hat with it. You know what I mean? I think
good
that's
combo.
It's a full outfit. All
Yeah.
right. You know, Tim Tebow is sponsored by OnlyFans. Okay, that's the vibe that I'm trying to put out there.
Mixed messages.
Yeah, we're complicated people. Okay, you're allowed to have layers like an onion. Okay,
You do have layers. All right, let's get into our top story here. This is a fun one. It's kind of two stories put together, but it's Memorial Day weekend this weekend, and that means it's summer fun, and that means adults telling kids what to do. And that's the theme this week. Two stories on that theme. The first one is, let's do Mayor Mike Johnston first, a.k.a. Mikey J, as Joshua, you like to call him.
I made that up. All right,
it's
everybody
great.
use it.
Everybody use it if you want, whatever. Anyway, Denverite reports this week that the mayor has a new program, the Youth Works program, where the city is going to be paying young people up to the age of 24
That's awesome.
up to $1,000 this summer if they can show that they worked 100 hours at a summer job. Bree, what do you think about this program?
I honestly love this idea. I worked a summer job every summer. I mean, I started babysitting when I was 11, but I started my first job with a paycheck when I was 14. And if I got a bonus at the end of the summer, $1,000 when you're 14 is $1 million.
That's huge.
And I just love this idea because kids are most likely probably already out there doing summer jobs. And if they're not, maybe this is a good incentive. I had a very good experience. The job I had as a young person was just foundational to me as a person. And
What was it?
I worked for a family-owned gymnastics school and summer camp called Fit Kids. Shout out to the Brown and Bible families who employed me as a 14-year-old. But what they did was, I was 14, so I couldn't drive. They picked me up from after school every day and took me to work, and then they took me home because they lived in my
Wow.
neighborhood. And so I would work for a couple hours after school and then go home. And then in the summertime, I worked 5 days a week at the summer camp, and I was given a lot of responsibility. I was given responsibility over kids. They just put a lot of responsibility on me in a way that taught me a lot about, I don't know, just showing up and being professional. And I had it was just a great job I had for 6 years. I loved working there. And this would have just made things even cooler. So I don't know if if you have the right thing, and that's, I think we'll get into is he's pushing this for local businesses. And that's what I loved is I worked for a family owned business and it was just it was a great experience.
Okay, so I'm getting some new information in here from our producer, Olivia. Actually, more of a correction. It's apparently up to age 21 is when you can be eligible for this program, not 24. That would have been weird. That must have been a typo by me when I was preparing for this. But
Still 21. I mean,
yeah.
That's a nice
21.
stretch.
So this is, $1.7 million in state funding. So it's not a huge program, but it's a pretty big program. They're partnering with DPS. Joshua, what do you think about this as as a policy?
I love it as well. I love my summer jobs. I spend the summers on the res, and I would. It was only through programs like this that I was able to get paid while I was out on the res with doing stuff around the community out there. I also got another job down in Tucson. I worked for the U of A athletics, and so I saw Aaron Gordon doing the summer classes. So summer jobs are a great opportunity to just sort of get out of the house. The thing is that you have the summer, you're not going to class, so you're going to be doing something.
Yeah.
And it's nice that it's something that's contributing to the economy, and you get a little bit of money. Go to Coachella, go to Seattle if you want to. Vancouver, keep going north.
Bought my first pair of Doc Martens that way as a teenager.
And they look great, I bet.
Thank you. 1994. Great times. But yeah, like you have your own money,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, also I would just say a lot of kids are also contributing to their household income as well and helping their parents. And
It's true.
this is just a great way to boost that. I think it's a really cool, smart thing to do. I would also give credit to Hancock for creating the My Denver card, which was giving
Previous
kids,
mayor.
universal access to kids to rec centers, which are pivotal places for young folks during the summer. And during the Johnston administration, they've also beefed up a lot of their summer programming for kids too. So I just think this is a great thing, and I think the city is thinking about young people, and that's cool.
One more point on this program before we move on to the other story is that we haven't really talked about the violence prevention aspect of this, which is apparently the reason why they're doing it. Johnston, I guess, is also offering $500,000 in grants to community orgs that want to throw events in neighborhoods with high rates of violence. So this is to give kids something to do, like to keep them away from activities that might, lead to violence.
I think this is genius too. Again, you're trusting the community organizations that are already in the communities, already working with the people, knowing what they need, knowing what kids need, knowing what kids specifically to your neighborhood need. I'm thinking about a program that we have, an organization in Southwest Denver called In Lakesh, which does youth arts programming in the summer. They teach folklorico dancing. They teach, they do theater workshops. They make puppets, and a lot of times I see them they do it at the park. So they're really connecting with kids in the neighborhood. And so if you gave In Lakesh $25,000 or something, I could see they could make that go so far. And I feel really lucky. My neighborhood has a lot of programs like this, but I'm also thinking about Birdseed Collective in Globeville, Larry Swancia, Servicios de la Raza does stuff like this. D3, just like these groups that already know what their neighborhoods need, just giving them a little bit more money to get kids involved, again, seems like a great idea.
Yeah, fighting violence with joy, and that's beautiful,
Giving kids something to do. They just opened a new skate park in Westwood. Like, I think that the city is doing right by young people right now, and I do think this is probably one of the best ways to combat youth violence is getting kids involved with something creative or, I don't know, STEM related or whatever they're into.
Yeah. My question with this, I guess, is the funding question. $1.7 million. The Denverite article said it was state funding. It just seems like to me we've seen the mayor kind of go back and forth on the budget this year already, like around the support for newcomers. And it seems to have created these situations where there's just a little bit of confusion about what's getting done and what expectations can be. I mean, we'll talk about another one of those in a few minutes, but like just the weeds in parks is one example. Like he said there's going to be budget cuts for the parks this summer. There's not going to be flowers and flower beds. And then like a month later, he was like, okay, no, there's not going to be budget cuts. But then I saw on 9 News this week that apparently there's still 100 positions unfilled at Parks and Rec that are stem from this budget fluctuation situation. And that's why people are seeing more weeds in their parks this year.
Well, maybe,
which I know I have. There's a crap load of dandelions in Cook Park right now.
Maybe that's something that they could do a job fair with young people. And get young folks involved in landscaping and maintenance, but also maybe management of that kind of work and stuff. But I don't know, Paul, that's a good question. I think the budget always feels a little bit murky. It's like we have money for some things, but we don't have money for other things. But also $1.7 million, not a huge amount of money.
True.
You know what I mean? Like if this was like 100 million, I'd be like, where is this money coming from? But 1.7 million is so minimal. But I do agree. Our parks are such a special part of this city that it really feels like a visible problem when that's something that's not getting serviced.
Yeah, I don't know. There's more to... We might talk about that again. You mentioned job fairs. The city is asking small businesses to commit to hiring youth, and there are 2 job fairs coming up. This is according to Denverite again. One is online on the day this episode comes out. That's Friday, May 24th, 4 to 6 p.m. The other will be in person on Saturday, June 1st, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll have links for more information in the show notes. Now, let's talk about this other story. More adults telling kids what to do. This was the state Republican Party.
This is the uncool part of this conversation.
There's some uncool stuff going on here. The state GOP, this is the party now led by Dave Let's Go Brandon Williams, sent out an email blast to all their members on Tuesday, which I was alerted to thanks to, again, 9 News. They were calling on parents to take their kids out of public schools because they are being used to, quote, turn more kids trans.
A big goal.
I know. You know what it is? Big trans is behind this.
Big trans, the trans agenda, turn more kids trans.
All the money and all the people.
Yeah, what do you...
You know what? Okay, listen, Paul. When we had that conversation with Congresswoman Boebert last week, 2 weeks ago, she just blurted out defund public schools. That was just like a thing that
yes.
came out. And this to me is part of that. And I was actually talking to my husband about this. Is like, this stuff is scare tactic-y stuff that really touches on things that people are afraid of, which is things they don't understand, which is things they don't know, which might be the existence of trans people in this case. But it also is really about like defunding public schools. You get kids out of public schools, they want to deregulate them. It's a giant socialist thing we have here in America, which is public schooling. Mm-hmm. And the GOP does not like that. They can't control the curriculum. Also, it, quote, costs taxpayers money. So to me, this is just one of those like chipping away at something bigger, which is public education through fear tactics that they know work for their base.
Yeah, wow, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Shout out to my husband, Greg, who
seriously
worked through this with me.
Yeah, damn.
But no, public education is one of the most important things you can do for an economy. You want your voter base to be as educated as possible. Yeah, and so to use fear to
But do you think the GOP really wants that?
No, I'm saying they don't want that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's ironic.
That's true.
Darcy Schoening, she used to be part of Moms of Liberty. This is the opposite of liberty. It's indoctrination, where you're able to take your kids out and you're able to sort of just control what they're being taught. And that's really terrifying because it separates society even more and has really long-term effects. It's hard to unlearn that type of stuff, especially when it's put in at such a young age. It's really sad and a reflection of Dave Williams' leadership in terms of how this is separating the state.
The control of curriculum is a good point too, because that's part of it. Again, thinking about this conversation we had, it was like, well, I don't want them to teach comprehensive sex ed. And I'm like, well, they can learn it at school or they can learn it online. And online, it's the Wild West out there. I would prefer my kids learned it.
You're just going to have more kids. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what the
Right.
outcome's going to be. Like, that's what happens.
Which for some people is also a motivation here. I mean, some of these conservatives, maybe more like the rich people are like population decline is a really, really big problem, or like birth rates are getting low. Like, this is a societal level issue. But
God, we're going to have
no
one
That's
to work in
tenuous.
our factories. Sheesh, with no education.
One of the things that I struggle with this is I really don't get the fear around trans people. Like and just the idea that gender dysphoria is this thing that it's not made up. That's the hardest thing where I'm trying to like weave through all this and try to connect as a human. That's the thing that I still struggle with the most.
I agree with you, but that's a tactic. Again, it's something that folks are afraid of because they don't understand it. And it's really easy to move people based on fear. And again, going back to the conversation with reporter Heidi Beadle at Colorado Times Recorder, more people have claimed to have seen a ghost than know a trans person. It's such a small percentage of the world. Like, this idea that they're taking over public schools is like, I agree with you. It's not real. I think that's the big thing. Is like, that's not a real phenomenon that's happening. And we know that. Ask anybody whose kid's in public school right now.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this was an issue politically 2 years ago in the governor's race, because this is a big thing for the Republican candidate Heidi Ganahl, who now runs this not quite news website called Rocky Mountain Voice, which is a great source if you really want to know about what the far right is up to in Colorado. Yeah, I do recommend it if you want to know that kind of information. But yeah, she made this whole thing about it was like kids dressed as cats and litter boxes,
and it was all made up by that.
Yeah, culture war crap, and she lost. Yeah. She got smoked.
Yeah, she did get smoked.
I don't think this is going to be a winning
gay
issue.
Governor. Yeah. By a sitting gay governor.
That's why it's such a weird move to me. I think this Dave Let's Go Brandon Williams, he is like a perplexing character to lead this party right now. Because it's not the only thing he's done like this. He sent out a questionnaire to candidates hoping to get a party endorsement recently. Which, by the way, the chair of the party, he's endorsed his own candidacy for Congress in Congressional District 5.
Wow.
Wonder how that decision got made, Dave.
Hey, that's good for Dave, though. You know what
Dave
I mean?
had a meeting with Dave,
He
and
somehow
that's what Dave
convinced
decided.
the party chair to give him the endorsement. I don't know how he pulled that one off. Yeah, and he also endorsed Boebert. Mm-hmm. Which infuriated her opponents.
Yeah.
Which there are many.
Yeah, which there are many. All of them like lifelong career Republicans, just different ideas on some issues. But anyway, this questionnaire, one of the questions on this questionnaire for people hoping to get the endorsement of one of the two major political parties is, should parents or schools be allowed to provide or encourage transgender reassignment treatment to minors? Circle 1, yes or no.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Schools don't have this power. The other thing I really hate about this whole thing is the erasure of teachers in this situation. I know so many public school teachers. This is a calling. This is one of those passion jobs where like, and I don't love that about it, but like they don't make that much money, and they do some of the most important work. And this is not what teachers are doing all day. They're just trying to teach kids basic stuff, give them a safe place, and create a community and teach them how to be social and all the other sort of things that we learn at school. They're not indoctrinating them with gender reassignment conversations. Like, that just is not happening.
Yeah,
it's a lie.
Because I'll tell you one phenomenon that's happening is the number one driver of child mortality is suicide. Empowered by easy accessibility to firearms. And I just say that these teachers, it's a huge part of the conversation in terms of like building these kids up and sort of having more and more avenues to sort of combat that.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's just, I don't know.
All right, well, let's leave it there. I want to flip us back to somewhere positive because we had a really fun conversation about summer job stories. I want to hear more of people's Denver summer job stories.
Oh, I love people's
What's the
job
small
stories.
business you worked for? What's the hijinks you got into with the other teens that worked for the grocery store or whatever?
Yeah.
I want to know those stories. Please call in, send us a text, leave us a voicemail. Whatever you want to tell us about your summer job in Denver, 720-500-5418 is the number. That's 720-500-5418. We're going to take a break, come back, talk about compost.
This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Because Denver Health's nationally accredited bariatric surgery center is accepting patients now. At Denver Health, you can expect personalized attention through your entire bariatric surgery journey with one-on-one support both before and after your procedure. Nutrition, psychology, and routine checkups are all included in your journey, and all of your appointments are conveniently located at Denver Health's main campus. Denver Health offers bariatric support to those struggling with losing weight from ages 16 to 65. Call Denver Health at 720-928-2127 if you would like to make an appointment, or visit denverhealth.org. That's denverhealth.org. This episode is brought to you by Pine Melon, the farmer's market delivered. Pine Melon is a next-generation grocery delivery app that partners with over 200 farmers, ranchers, and producers in Colorado to help make fresh, locally sourced foods available to the Denver community at fair prices. Get high-quality meats, eggs, and dairy from small local farms, fresh baked breads from local bakeries, and more, as well as all of your favorite pantry staples. Best part is, Pine Melon offers same-day delivery to Denver and soon Boulder within a 2-hour window, no subscription necessary. Save time in your busy schedule and get fresh and healthy groceries delivered right to your door. Join the movement and support local today. Use promo code CityCastDenver for $75 off your first delivery at pinemelon.com. That's pinemelon.com.
All right, and we're back. Our hot topic this week is, unfortunately, so hot that it's starting to stink. Compost. It's been 2 years now since Denver voters approved a new program that they've been charging me at least weekly fees for trash service for. The plan was to offer free recycling and compost pickups, but here we are, 2024. It's been 2 years. Only 12,000 Denverites have received their compost bins, according to Westward.
12,000?
12,000 out of
That's
I think
nothing.
150,000 that are supposed to get these.
Less than 10%. Holy cow.
Yeah. Bree, are you one of them? Did you get your bin?
Listen, I think longtime listeners know the saga of my compost.
Yeah.
I have been composting since before this program. We were part of the pilot program in Virginia Village where we had compost before a lot of other neighborhoods did. And I was set. I did everything they had us do. And then when they switched over to this program, they stopped picking up my compost. They pick it up once every 4 weeks. So it smells so bad that it just sits in my alleyway now. I don't even bring it back to my house. And we end up just putting our compost in the trash. It sucks. It's actually made our diversion rate garbage because we know that it's probably not going to get picked up. And it sucks, Paul. I'm bummed. I loved this idea. I wanted this program to work. And it is not working for us. Unfortunately.
So Joshua, the reason that they've stated, and this is the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, aka DOTI, we sometimes call them just DOTI, but DOTI says that they have the caddies, the bins, and they have the staff, but they need to educate the people. That's what they say is the holdup.
That's kind of weird. Changing behavior, especially if you have to. there's so much you got to do to not contaminate compost. That's hard. So you want to tackle like true believers like Bree, where you want to empower them. The fact that Bree can't compost now when she was composting before, that's a tragedy. 3% diverted is what they reported, and 80% is the goal, and 3% in 2 years, that's really tough.
A 3% increase.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. With this,
I think you can trust people, so do it. I think that this education component is kind of baloney. It's not that hard. I just got a thing in the mail about it because
what is this?
They let me know if I wanted a compost bin, I could get one. And I was like, so you guys clearly know that I don't have one, even though I do. Also, when they switched to this new program, they changed what you could compost. You used to be able to compost greasy pizza boxes, coffee filters, Kleenex, lint.
You can't compost coffee filters?
You're not supposed to.
I
now
have been
you're
doing
only
that
allowed.
wrong.
Yeah, you're only allowed to do food waste, like only food. So they actually made it less. And I guess to some extent, this is easier for folks who have never done composting. How hard is that? You can do that and lawn clippings. Just get everybody their bins so they can start doing it.
Yeah, there's something going on there that's like, I'm not
buy
seeing it. Is it this?
It.
Is this mailer? Is that the education that they're
Food
doing?
scraps, yard debris. This is the education.
Because what else would it be? Would it be like online, or would it be like at community centers? Or they said they audit people's trash and then have conversations with people after they audit. That takes so much time.
I do not buy that because they don't even pick up our trash on time.
Yeah. So the idea that there's people going through people's compost bin and then like knocking on doors being like, hey,
look, we went through your trash.
Don't put the lint in there. Yeah, crazy.
You know what I mean? Also, the Denver Post did an editorial about the frustration over this. And they were like, even if you go to the city's website, you have to click through like 4 or 5 things to get to the education component. And most people are not going to do that. Like, I understand if it's hard to find information online, people aren't going to access it. The Denver Post pointed this out too. On recycle bins, on the top of our bins, it shows you what you can and can't put in it. Just put that on the top of the compost bin.
Yeah.
And you can go and look.
Yeah, one of the most successful programs I've seen here in Denver was at the Denver Zoo. They composted all like the animal waste and all this stuff. And then they tried to do compost with like just trash with the guests. And that one was often contaminated. So it was one of those things where people aren't going to change their behavior. They don't care. Some people will change, but most people won't. And it only takes, it doesn't take a lot to contaminate compost where it's not usable anymore.
I also find though at those, like when you go to a trash bin and it has all these options.
Does it make you anxious?
Yeah, because all of a sudden you're like, I don't know. And then you just dump it into the trash because you don't want to contaminate, or you dump it all into the recycle because it seems paper-ish, but you realize a lot of cups are actually plastic coated that you thought were paper, and you're like, someone's behind me, and then you just like dump it and go.
This happened to me at Chipotle on the 16th Street Mall last week. They don't really have like descriptions of what goes where. They just have pictures of different items that you may have paid for with your food. And then you have to decipher these hieroglyphics like, is this a cup or is this a platter? What kind of platter is this? Does it go into this one or that one? And I don't know. The education component I could understand a little bit is real, but like for this home composting thing, it's pretty simple. And you're also not in a public space where you feel anxiety. You have a little bit of time.
Yeah, just pick up the bins.
Yeah.
Please, just pick up the bins more. I have the bin. Pick it up more.
Please.
I actually don't have complaints about my compost pickups.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been fine. They pick it up every Wednesday.
It's been breaking my heart to throw my compost in my trash, but I know they pick up my trash at least. So,
do you have a garden?
Do I have a garden? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my husband has a garden. I don't do any of it.
Bree does inside the house.
I'm inside work. He's outside work.
Okay, cool. I'll write that down. Yeah.
But like we would go and get the because they turn it into mulch and you can go pick it up. Mm-hmm. Totally. We'll go do that too. But like we just barely do it anymore. So they've taken me, the compost like cheerleader, and just turned me into a sad person that throws everything in the trash.
I guess what do you, in your utopia, what do you want to see happen with the city's compost? Like,
that's the question.
Roll it all out. Give everybody cans. Mm-hmm. I feel like Denver Urban Gardens talked to us about this or something too, where they were like, they do composting classes. So you can go learn, but I think it's as simple as getting everybody the can so they can do it. Mm-hmm. And then sending it out every month or whatever for a couple months, like saying, just a reminder, this goes in this. Like, it doesn't seem that hard to just get the cans out. We only have 12,000 people have cans.
And then people will start to learn.
Yeah. And also then promise you're actually going to pick it up.
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen there if that did happen, if they would just get overwhelmed with contaminated compost.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I have questions about the A1 Organics company they use too.
We should go out and visit that place.
I think we should because I'm curious.
I want to know what happens. I want to know what the implications would be for them.
The other thing about this is that this is probably going to be most effective with apartment buildings, and the compliance with that is 2026. So we still have a couple years in terms of that, but just that's where density sort of works in our favor, when you can get the entire apartment complex to sort of learn these things all at once, because
Be on the same page.
because the apartment complex is on the hook for compliance. That's when like the game theory is set up to make this policy effective.
That's really interesting. I wonder why we didn't do that first. You know what I mean?
It should have been, right? Yeah.
That's really a good idea because my mom's building has it, but it's because they pay for a composting company. So interesting.
Well, free idea.
Free ideas.
Any city employees listening, we got some ideas. We got plenty more. Reach out. We want to talk. But right now, we're going to go to another break. Come back with the wins and fails.
Hey guys, it's your good friend Josh. We're back again, another Friday. Maybe you had a hard week. Maybe you're looking forward to a little bit of Rocky Mountain highs and lows.
Looking forward to that 3-day weekend.
3-day
me
weekend
first?
Yeah.
Should I start with a high or low?
I want to hear your lows. Let's go lows. It's always
Okay.
nice to end on a positive.
Yeah, we know.
I
We
agree.
got it. We got to
I
end on
agree.
a positive.
I agree. Okay. Well, my fail this week, we talked about him a little bit earlier, but Mayor Mike Johnston gets the fail of the week from me.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because Axios Denver reported on a poll from Magellan Strategies that was apparently commissioned by City Council itself, I guess, which is interesting and I'd like to know more about. But the poll found that Mayor Mike, after almost a year in office, it'll be a year in July, has a 43% approval rating, which is down from the 55% of people who elected him last June, and down from the 46% of people that approved of him in the Colorado Polling Institute poll last August. So it appears like people are liking Mr. Mayor Mike less than they were.
I wonder how common this is for first year.
Good point. Probably
you know what
super
I mean?
common.
I would just assume that maybe this is because we have really high expectations coming out of someone's campaign, and then the reality hits. So I would be curious if this was common in other positions. But Paul, why do you think that if City Council did call for this, what do you think they're looking for? What did you think they wanted to know?
I don't know. It's a good question. We should ask them what they wanted to know. It seemed like it was connected with this question about term limits for council.
that's right.
Because some of them had, I think I read this in Westward, or maybe it was also in Axios Denver, but they were talking about imposing or like shortening the limit so you could only serve 2 terms on council and as mayor instead of 3. I guess some of the folks who won and are like new faces on council, like they heard from people that they were interested in this.
I mean, we're coming off of a mayor that was a 3-term mayor. And I mean, Debbie Ortega had been on city council since before there were term limits. So I'm just thinking about maybe those kinds of things signaling to people we want more turnaround in these positions that have a lot of power. I don't know.
It's hard to know what's happening there. There was some sense, though, after that election last spring that people were not totally satisfied with the process.
Yeah.
Like, I think some people felt overwhelmed by the number of mayoral candidates.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
this council thing, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, just bad news. You're going to get even more mayoral candidates if we only have, you know what I mean? Because
You think?
Yeah, because if you look at the election before, there weren't that many people running against Hancock as the incumbent, as we saw in this next race where there was no incumbent and there was 17 candidates versus like 5. So interesting.
Before we move on from this, though, I do have to take a second to gloat.
Uh-oh.
You actually were on this show with us in December, Joshua. We made predictions for 2024.
And what was your prediction?
My prediction was, well, let me play you the clip. My prediction is, even though this House 1000 thing has had a lot of positive impacts on like individual people's lives, I think that his poll numbers are going to be down in the next CBI poll.
Huh. Here I am again going,
That is one of your go-to moves.
Like, what is he talking about?
Well, Paul, you were
Thank you.
right. Is this
Thank
what you
you.
wanted to hear,
Thank
Paul?
you. Yes, it is what I wanted to
Paul
hear.
was right, everyone. Good
I was
job,
right.
Paul.
I mean, technically not a
Sucks
CPI
to be the
poll,
mayor, but
yeah.
Paul was
Does
right.
it? I don't know.
He'll be all right. He'll be
He's
all
fine. Yeah.
Joshua, who's next this segment?
Well, it's got to be Bree.
Oh,
Brie, what's that
okay.
low?
All right. A film, a documentary, if you will call it that, was released last week called Devastated Colorado's Fentanyl Disaster.
Oof.
Brought to us by Stephen Tubbs, who runs PR for the Rocky Mountain region of the Drug Enforcement Agency. This is a former right-wing radio host who campaigned against safe injection sites, which, by the way, statistically speaking, keep people alive, which is what I would think we want to do with folks who use drugs, is at least keep them alive. He presented false information about safe injection sites when he was presenting his campaign against them to legislators in 2019, claiming they kill more people when actually they don't. And he mocked public officials during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. And now this person not only represents the DEA, he has created this movie, which I watched 10 minutes of. I will watch the whole thing this weekend, which felt like the most fear-mongery thing, pointing fingers at folks who use drugs as the problem, when we know that policy is the problem. That's the thing that is keeping us from keeping people alive. So just big thumbs down to Stephen Tubbs in this baloney movie.
That doesn't sound like a real name, Stephen Tubbs, which I...
He had a successful radio career with that name for several decades.
Yes,
so
Stephen Tubbs. Yeah, and also that documentary sounds like something I want to watch on drugs. You know what I mean? Which is ironic.
I think it might be
I actually
scary.
thought about that too. I was like, maybe I should just pop an edible to make this a little bit more palatable.
Oof,
But
it was intense. I only got 5 minutes in. I got to the part where there was a DEA agent as his first expert talking head. It was like,
After the beginning screen of the movie says the DEA has nothing to do with this movie. Oop, here's the guy from the DEA.
Yeah.
How'd he get in here?
again, mixed messages.
Mixed messages. So just big thumbs down. Joshua, what's your fail?
My fail, the third quarter of Game 7 for the Denver Nuggets.
God.
Just the fact that both the Nuggets and the Avalanche, who had pretty good seasons, they both went out of the playoffs within 3 days of each other, and just the collective drop of happiness in the entire city all at once. Yeah, Ball Arena is now, it's going to be very quiet until the new season starts.
You understand the morale issue when it's not a morale boost. It's the opposite direction. When you can see this is what sports does
I
to
think it
us.
affected Mayor Mikey J's approval rating. All right. A couple more Instagram posts with him in an Avs jersey. I think it would have been a little bit more popular.
It does help to be leading a city that's winning at things.
Yeah.
For sure.
Championship city. Yeah.
Paul, did you watch the Avs?
I watched. I mean, after the Val Nichushkin thing, it was
Yeah.
like... It was kind of
a bummer.
anticlimactic. I think the team was deflated, and
It's crazy how disappointed the fan base was in Nikushkin.
Yeah.
They were like, we gave him a second chance, and you know what, get him out of here.
But it's like that feeling you have of ownership over a team, and the experience is like, this was for us, and he didn't do it. But also the Nuggets, they had all their star players, and God, what a miserable game. What an absolutely miserable game.
I liked it as a basketball fan, I gotta say, and it was also kind of validating watching that team that swept my favorite team out of the playoffs. Oh, they're good enough to beat the reigning champ. No longer the reigning champ.
Yeah.
Oh no, no longer.
Give it to the
reigning-
Timberwolves. They were good.
they were good.
They were good,
Fun
so-
to watch.
Yeah, and they just got beat by the Mavs, who I hate. So
Oh,
I cannot stand Luka. I don't know if
Oh,
there's any.
we're a Luka household.
Are you a Luka household? Well, I don't know who I have to fight in your household.
He's
but
Jokic's best friend. They play video games together.
Jokic doesn't have any friends except horses.
Okay, let's do happy things.
Yeah, let's move on to Rocky Mountain Highs. These are the wins of the week.
Okay, wins of the week.
Do you want to go, Brie?
So I went to Levitt Pavilion last weekend. We just
Hell yeah.
randomly picked a show. All our friends were available. We went down. It was this Ghanaian drummer, Ka Pow, who fronts this amazing band with multi-percussionists, horn section. It was so much fun. Transparency, Levitt Pavilion is an advertiser on this show. This is not an advertisement for them, but I did go and I was like, man, this is such a cool resource. It's in the middle of a public park. They do tons of free shows all summer. Again, if you have kids, this is a genius way to go see a cool show, take your kids, and nobody cares. Kids were running around being crazy. They had a great time. You can go and actually spend no money. You don't have to spend money because you can bring food in if you want, and you can bring sealed drinks. So you technically don't have to spend any money, and it's in a public park. It was a beautiful night, and I just want to give a shout out. I love that Levitt Pavilion exists. It's such a great extension of Colorado's commitment to live music and local music. And it's for everyone. And like I said, pick a show of someone you've never heard of and go enjoy it. Sometimes these free shows are a little bit less busy than the ticketed ones. So there's plenty of room. We spread out our blankets. We just had a killer night. And it's one of my new favorite things about summer is the Levitt Pavilion concert calendar.
And a great show you can watch.
Oh, yeah, you have one.
At Levitt Pavilion is All My Relation Celebration, going to be emceed by your homeboy. Hi, how you doing? My name's Joshua.
Can you tell us a little bit about All My Relations?
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out Helen Glover. She just graduated from DU and she was working at Levitt as an intern, and now she's in a different role, more permanent. She's been able to put on this one show. It's like a mini Native American music festival. One of my favorite memories last year was watching Samantha Crane sing while the sun was going down after having introduced her. And she was so good, and really good acts this year as well. Yeah, it's just something for the Native community. It's for all of Denver, but it's Native American musicians. And it was so cool to All My Relations. It's like a Lakota phrase, but it's pretty common all around Indian country. And one of the most beautiful things was seeing all the natives in the audience utilizing and coming and being in community with each other, all while connecting through music. And it's new. It's contemporary Native creatives, and that's one of my favorite things. It's just to see that. Oh, they're also doing res metal this year, and I don't know if you know about res metal, but it's natives love metal, and so res metal in particular, that stuff that's born, they're dusty. Yeah, and when you get, because you get sweaty when you're playing, metal music, and that dust gets on, and you get that stickiness of and you smell like that sagebrush. Yeah, that's come out to Levitt. All right, you got two great Native shows. You got a whole litany. Yeah, I'll be out there when I'm not doing one of the 17 projects.
They're doing movies on the Hill too. They're doing with C Film Center. So if you want to go, if Film on the Rocks isn't quite your thing, but you want to do an outdoor movie, they do that as well. So tons of great stuff.
Well, yeah, shout out to Levitt. That's a great win. I guess that. Do you want to go, Joshua?
I'll go.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, Aer Lingus has started nonstop flights from Denver to Dublin.
Is that how you say that? Because I've been reading that in headlines, and I just didn't even want to try.
I don't know.
Aer Lingus?
I don't,
okay,
why?
Go on.
You're really going to call me out?
No.
What type of support is this, you guys? Yeah.
Nonstop flights to Dublin?
Yeah, to Dublin. Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up. It's like $600 round trip. If you do it in a month.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is what a cheap way to get over to Europe. And then Dublin itself. I lived a year in Swansea, so the United Kingdom for me holds a special place in my heart. So I was really excited to see. I just go to DIA and just maybe pop 2 edibles, and then wake up in Dublin, and that's always a good thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've never been to Ireland. Never been to Dublin.
I haven't either,
really?
But that's where my
your skin tone says something different.
Yeah. Well,
I hear you there. I probably do have family members way back when.
I have family from Ireland too, so
yeah.
go check it
out. It's all good. Hey,
$600
CityCast Dublin. Let's do it there, okay?
Paul.
I got a couple of wins. One from a reader, Sarah Gunning, a Hey Denver reader, who wrote us this week to let us know that the first ever gluten-free farmers market happened last month here in Denver. Apparently it's first Saturdays of the month down in kind of southwest, 333 West Hampton. But Sarah writes, the very first one was this month, and there were so many vendors. They hadn't anticipated the need for this market because it was packed, and everyone sold out in 2 hours.
Wow.
So I wanted to give a big shout out to the first gluten-free farmers market. We'll put a link in the show notes to the next one. That sounds like fun scene. And then my shout out is also food related. I went to this bar on Colfax last week from Bo Peritko. I've now been to two of his restaurants, both of them. There's Misfit Kitchen, which is inside Middleman Bar, or it was. It's moving now to its own space. But my win goes to this guy, Bo, who is also behind Molotov Kitchen and Cocktails. He's crushing it. I love this guy's food. He has such a distinct flavor profile that he likes to work with. The way he uses bitterness in his dishes is something I've never tasted before.
Bitter.
And it's very every dish showcases it in a different way. And it's a little bit Eastern European.
Bitter doesn't get enough respect. People love hot. I don't. Bitter? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bitter is good. I had the North African style eggplant parm. That's my one dish I would call out specifically.
What's the place now? Soviet Kitchen and Bar's open for sure.
Molotov Kitchen and
Or Molotov
Cocktails
Kitchen.
is open right now on
But-
Colfax.
And he's moving Misfit.
And he's moving Misfit to its own place.
We'll be watching.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it.
Sounds awesome.
Delicious.
Well, here we are.
Okay.
I think that's the end of the show.
Good Lord.
I don't know. Does it have to be?
Should we keep going?
I'm
No, what do you want
hungry.
to talk about?
I'm kind of hungry. I'd like to.
No, well, let's leave it there. Let's stop. Let's stop. We'll be back next week. We'll be back on Monday with more. Bree, Joshua, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
I was giving you a little space. Thanks, Paul.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were Olivia Jewel Love, Dylan Brogan, Selena Cia Reynolds, Xander McMahon, and me, Paul Caroli. Peyton Garcia writes our morning newsletter, Hey Denver. Bree Davies is our host. Our music is by Los Mocochetes and Don Chicharron, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at CityCast Denver, and tell Stefan Tubbs about us next time you see him. You can sign up for that daily newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. But before I say goodbye, special shout out to producer Olivia Jewel Love, who's celebrating her 1-year anniversary at CityCast this year. It's been such a great year. Thank you for all you do, Olivia. I'm looking right at you. Congrats.